Hi, I'm Barbara C. Phillips, and I'm the founder of Nurse Practitioner Business Owner, and I'm back with another question of the week. This week, though, I have a bit of a rant that I want to share with you. So, I want to talk about business failure and business success. And the reason is because I've gotten so many questions, so many comments. I've recently had some conversations that really point out a little bit of a problem. And at Nurse Practitioner Business Owner and Clinician Business Institute, our whole goal is to make more of us successful in business, whether we're employed by others or whether we're self-employed. But the more of us that are successful, the more of us that are successful. And so that's what I want to talk about today. Now, one of the big things that happens is as businesses, small businesses, not a lot of us are successful, and this is looking at businesses across the board. And small businesses is defined as a business with less than 500 employees. So for most of us nurse practitioners, we're really tiny. But the whole thing is that 2/3 of businesses with employees will survive at least 2 years. That sounds pretty good. But only half of those survive at less than 5 years. And the further you go out, the more that we see problems. Now, there's a whole lot of reasons why businesses are not profitable and don't survive. And if you look at some of the literature that's out there at the Small Business Association and other places, you'll see that information. But of course, they're not looking specifically at healthcare practices. So, what I'd like to do is share with you some of the things that I see as part of the problem. So, poor planning is a big one. People jump into this, they don't know exactly what they want to do, they have a vague idea, and it's like, well, I'm a nurse practitioner, I can figure this out, and let me go in and just do it. They haven't sat down and looked at whether it's financially feasible or not. They haven't done their homework on paper. A lot of times I get questions from people who don't even know how to figure out what their reimbursement rates are. They have no idea what their overhead is, and they don't even know what it costs them to see each patient. And so that's an issue. And many people start their practices undercapitalized, if you will. Not everybody has enough money to last them maybe 6 months or even a year, and a lot of people will bootstrap it, and that is possible, but you certainly should have another source of income. I never recommend that anybody quits their day job and just dives headlong into a practice of their own without having some kind of financial support with that. Cash flow is an issue in a lot of our practices. We have reimbursement issues, there's billing issues, there's getting people to pay their bills, there's all kinds of issues. And so while you might be a little bit lenient, usually the people that you need to pay for things are not very lenient. So that's a big reason why businesses will fail. And the last two are critical. So many people go and do this with not even knowing what they're doing. They don't have the knowledge. And I really hate the phrase, you don't know what you don't know. But it really does come down to that when it comes to business. We may be excellent clinicians. We know how to take care of our patients. We know how to operate a clinic, but we really don't know what goes on in the back end. And then many of us jump into this water alone. You cannot do a business alone. This is not a solo sport. It is a team sport. And whether you have people on your team actually in your clinic, or you have your team around you that might include your CPA, an attorney, a business coach, somebody who's teaching you about this stuff, your banker, and all sorts of other people, you have less likelihood of making it long-term in business. And of course, when we look at support, you also want support of your local community, of your local peers. So those things are often missing. But there's another issue that I think is really important to think about, and that is the technician versus the business owner. And I'm going to recommend a book. It's The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber, and I'll put the link below this video. And in the E-Myth, Michael Gerber points out that there are three types of business owners, or three major roles that we play as a business owner. And one of those is the technician. the manager, and then the business owner. So the technician, that's you and I. We know how to go in and do this. We can go in and we can see our patients and do a darn good job of seeing our patients. But maybe we don't know how to be the business owner. We don't know how to act like a business owner, think like a business owner. And those are completely different set of skills and a different mindset. And so that's really important. But again, read Michael Gerber. So one of the things that I want to do is to show you a little bit of a problem here. And this is not, unfortunately, it's not atypical of some of the things that I get. So I'm going to share with you a conversation or portions of a conversation that I had with somebody in Facebook Messenger. I've blurred out a lot of the information just to protect this person's identity. And they are aware that I am sharing this, however. And it just gives you an idea of what happens. So this woman originally contacted me in March of this year, wanting to know, wanting to find out about getting some help for starting her business. And I asked her for some more information, and then I gave her a lot of different resources and places that she could get free information, all the way up to how she could work with me if she wanted to, or in everything in between in terms of starting her business. I didn't hear from her until literally 6 months later, on the dot. And you can see the dates here, March 27th and September 26th. And she wrote me and asked me, how do I close a business? And upon querying her more, and you can see that here on your right, it says that yes, she did open her business. She and her partner spent more than $128,000 to open the place. And then she goes on to say it was destroyed. And so I was wondering if it had been some kind of a natural disaster. After all, we've had a couple of hurricanes, we've had earthquakes, we've had fires, we've had tornadoes, we've had all sorts of different things. And so I didn't know if that was part of it. And she said, no, it wasn't. It was because she didn't have any more money and she could not pay the bills, as you see in this final email. She said she opened the practice, spent a lot of money. Another practice opened in front of mine. I'm not quite sure what she meant by that. The insurance took many months. Yes, it does when you're first getting started. And so she decided to close. And then she closes with, I don't even have money to pay the rent. When I asked her for a little bit more details about how this could have been different, she said, in a further communication, that she just didn't have the business knowledge to be doing this. And so that's where a lot of people are. Now, I want to, first of all, take a step back here. $128,000 to open a practice, you don't have to do that. In fact, I know very few people who do that. Many people start for, less than $10,000, and it is doable depending on what it is that you're trying to do. You can spend a lot more, but you certainly can spend a lot less. And so this woman lost this money and is now trying to figure out what her next step is. Could some of that have been avoided? Absolutely. It could have been avoided. There's another problem too in our community. And it's not just in our community, but it's in the entrepreneurship community all over the place. And I see this every single day. Owning a business right now is very popular, and so people are just putting on their hats and saying that I can help you. And I had a communication, this is actually just a few days ago, from another nurse practitioner who had a successful business and sold it. But in her situation, she's telling me that she opened her own clinic, or this is the person she's talking about, with free consultation from several NPs, including me, within her first year of being an NP. First of all, I do not recommend your first year of being a nurse practitioner that you open up a practice. My very strong opinion is that you become an expert clinician before you go that route. So, there's very few circumstances where I don't believe that. Anyway, she said that this NP claimed that she was a successful NP and an expert at opening up her own clinic. And you know what? She started teaching others how to do her own clinic, this newer person here. This NP has closed a total of 3 clinics, and she also had purchased some of those clinics from nurse practitioners who are now having to put forth some legal actions. Employees haven't been paid, that sort of thing. So this kind of thing, and the reason I put this in here is be careful who you learn from. There's a lot of people out there that are excellent teachers. And quite frankly, whether you learn with us or you learn from somebody else, just learn and learn well so that you're successful. You can see that I am pretty frustrated with some of these kinds of emails because it doesn't need to happen. And to point that out, I'd like to share one more email that I had recently. And this is with a nurse practitioner who actually found me, asked about the startup course, asked about consulting with me. She started the course and then spent some time working with me. And this is after our first conversation on the phone together. We spent about a half hour together. And she said that some information I gave her, it reduced her expenses to almost $3,000, which was, in another email, she said it saved her a lot more than that. So she was very happy with what she was able to do. And this, I think, is really important. Getting the help you need, again, whether it's with us or it's with someone else, will actually oftentimes save you money. It's not so much of an expense, but it will save you money and headache and heartache in the future. So again, I want to encourage you, get with your mentors, learn from people. You don't have to learn from anybody in the healthcare community. You can go to SCORE or SBA. You can go to your community college and take business courses. But let me tell you something. That is all fine and dandy, but they don't understand healthcare businesses, which has its own nuances, as we well know. So think about that. When you step out and you start looking at other resources, great, but make sure that you get some of the healthcare perspective. And the same thing goes with your team, which you must have, where you find a lawyer who has healthcare business and understands nurse practitioners, a CPA who understands healthcare businesses and some of the nuances there. So I'd like you all to be successful. That's our goal. And again, the more of us that are successful in business, in practice, the more people know about us, and it's good for all of us. It's good for healthcare consumers. It's good for the nurse practitioner community and medical community at large. So again, thank you so very much for taking the time to watch this video. Again, you can send your questions for the question of the week videos to bit.ly, so bit.ly/NPQuest. And that's a correction from some of the previous emails or the videos that I put out because I had the wrong link. Sorry about that. You can also send a message to npbohelp@gmail.com. I really do encourage you to visit our blog at npbusiness.org because we've been writing that for over 10 years. Over 10 years, we've been writing and sharing business information with the nurse practitioner community. So please go and take a look at it. Look for some information, leave your comments, ask your questions, whatever it may be. If you're looking for courses, you can visit us at Clinician Business Institute, and we'll certainly be happy to answer any questions we can over there for you. And of course, we are all over social media. And I encourage you to please share these videos, subscribe to our channel because we're going to be putting out a lot more. So thank you so very much for taking the time to watch us today. And I will see you again in the future, and much success to you. Bye-bye now.